Okay, looks like we're good on volume here. Okay. All right. Okay, we got one. Let's see how many we can get here. I'm going to give it a few minutes for the few people that have joined. Yeah, then we'll get started here in a second. See, we got 2 in here so far. 3, there we go. Just pull up my notes here. Brock, it's going good, man. How are you doing? Yeah, this is the support group here. Yeah, that was terrible yesterday. Hey, man, you know what? I gotta be honest. For the few people that can hear this, I was doing stuff around the house. Was kind of half watching. I went and did something. Came back and looked at the television, and I saw Evan Nielsen celebrating a goal. I got pumped up, and then VAR came in as always to ruin everything. Yeah, it was insane. I don't know. Listen, that's what happens sometimes. Everton 4-0. That's right. Everton. Did I not call that? I called it. I said this is the I said I can't deal with Everton this weekend, but they'll win. And now I'm debating on whether making the decision to hop in now. We'll get to that in a second, but we'll wait till we get double digits here. Or maybe we won't get double digits. Who knows? But yeah, before I get started, everybody, if you haven't seen already, I launched my Substack. I'll talk about it more at the end, but I launched my Substack today. Thank you to everybody who's already subscribed to it. Hopefully it can be, hopefully we can turn it into something really good and something, like I said, like a place you want to come to consume the type of content that I can provide to you. So I already got 3 things up there. Right now, I have my projections are up there. I ran simulations after Matchweek 14 for the Premier League and gave out the results for those to win the title, top 4, top 6, top half, and relegation. Gave out 2 picks in there. Shout out and gave out 2 picks in there. So if you want to subscribe and see all my futures, they're going to be on the Substack going forward. All right, we got double digits here. All right, so weekend slate, it's actually a pretty fun one. We got 10 matches as usual in the Premier League. We'll take a little jaunt around Europe as well and look at all the other leagues. Again, as we do every time with these type of things, like if you have questions or if you want to just talk about something, like put it in the chat and we'll do that as we go throughout the slate here. But I think there's only really one logical place to start, right? And that's on Merseyside. Everton, Liverpool. I'm praying for my friend Michael Levoff in this one. I really hope Everton wins. I know that would make him very happy. If you remember last year, Everton got a 2-0 win over Liverpool towards the end of the season, and I know he stuck it. I know that made Levoff really happy because he had to stick to Klopp one last time. And I also will say this: this is the lunchtime kickoff at 7:30 a.m. Eastern time. Everton is plus 550. Liverpool is minus 223. The draw is at plus 375, and totals over 2.5 is at minus 150 on the over, plus 120 on the under. If Klopp were still around, he would go on a 17-minute press conference complaining about how the fact that Liverpool has to be the ones to play the lunchtime kickoff after a midweek slate. I'm just going to say that. That's it. 100% would have happened. But Arne Slot is actually much more measured, and I don't think he's actually going to complain about it. So here's the deal. I think you can tell from by the sigh of where I'm going with this one. I kind of like Everton. I would love plus 1.5 at a better number. Right now, plus 1.5 is sitting at minus 150. I would love the assurance of only losing by that one goal. I don't know if we're going to get it. So, I mean, Everton were 4-0 is wonderful against Wolves, right? Well, you also got 2 own goals and you only created 1 expected goal. So I don't know if Everton is like fully back. I don't know if they're going to go on some type of run. I think it's, kind of what has been happening with Deitch for a while is they'll get one of these results and we'll feel good. We'll get out of the relegation and then we'll kind of just crater back down towards where Everton kind of is. Now, what I will say is I really worry about Everton's defensive structure in this match. So Everton, they haven't really been that effective, quite frankly, in terms of their pressing. They're dead last in passes per defensive action, which honestly isn't really surprising under Deitch, but they are turning opponents over in dangerous areas at a high rate, but converting those into shots has also been a little bit of a problem for Everton because they're 14th in shots per 90, 14th in box entries. It's Liverpool can take away a lot of what Everton's trying to do. Playing in transition, getting the ball out wide. The only advantage Everton will really have in this match is set pieces. Liverpool is 15th in XG per set piece allowed. So Everton, 40% of their goals this season, at least before the midweek slate, had come off of set pieces. So it's like a typical Deitch type thing. So yeah, for me, if you look at my projections, I do have value on Everton. And if you want to play Everton +1, I think there is some value on that. Obviously no Konate for Liverpool, as you saw against Newcastle, made a little bit of a difference. But if you watch that match against Newcastle, really what happened is Ishak just tormented Liverpool. He was amazing. Everton doesn't have that player to just completely torment Liverpool. So I worry because Liverpool's so good defending in transition that Everton's just really not going to get any chances here. So I'm passing on this for now. I really would like Everton +1.5 at a decent number. If it gets to minus 130, somewhere around there, I'll probably hop in on Everton. But for now, I think I'm just passing on the Merseyside. I think Liverpool, in general, they're getting a little bit overinflated in the market, and I think that there will be other opportunities to bet against them. I wish this was the one, but I can't do it. All right, let's move on to Aston Villa and Southampton. I do have a pick for this match. And if you subscribe to my Substack, I have already put out my best bets article. It's very long, very detailed. But Aston Villa Southampton is on there. And I like over 3.5 at +112, which is available at FanDuel right now. So John McKenzie, who has a great follow on Twitter, did a great breakdown of Aston Villa and how they actually build out of the back. Sorry, I probably should read off the odds before I dive into this. Aston Villa is -275. Southampton is 6-1. The draw is at +450. Total is at 3.5. +108 at Bet365. I like over 3.5 here, like I already said. So John McKenzie did a fantastic breakdown of what Aston Villa is trying to do in possession. We know Villa likes to build out of the back, but what they really like to do, is use wide triangles to try and get an overload, escape that pressure, draw the opponent in, and then with the space they've created from drawing the opponent in, they like to play ball centrally or over the top and try to beat teams that way. The problem is teams like Chelsea and really good pressing teams just took away everything, and Villa had become a little too predictable. And even against Brentford, nothing really changed of what they were trying to accomplish. It's the fact that they were able to escape that pressure and get the ball centrally and turn that into a transition opportunity. So that's the worry here for Southampton, right? Is if they have to press, then Aston Villa can do the exact same thing they were able to do to Brentford. Now, Southampton has been sitting in a 5-4-1 defensive shape a little more often. But the problem for them is when they get into a negative game state, everything just continues to snowball. They've spent almost 600 minutes playing from behind this season, and they're allowing about 2.4 expected goals per 90. It's not good at all. And really what the problem is like when, Russell Martin really wants them to press high, but it's just not going to work here against Aston Villa. So if they fall behind, I think this thing's really going to snowball, which is in turn means we're going to see more goals. The other big thing is this is going to be a set piece heavy episode, by the way. After that Arsenal match, I'm running on a high of set pieces right now. Aston Villa is number 1 in the Premier League in terms of XG per set piece, and I'm pretty sure they actually have created the most expected goals off of set pieces this year. Southampton conceded another one against Chelsea, makes 7 allowed on the season so far, and they are dead last in XG per set piece allowed. So I think Villa can run rampant here, quite frankly. But here's what I will say is that Southampton is not a horrible offensive team. They're going to get Flynn Downs back. They're going to get Tyler Dibbling back from suspension in this match, which will definitely help them in terms of building up through what Aston Villa is going to try to do defensively. But in any case, I think the total is too low here. I mean, listen, Southampton has created at least 1 expected goal in their last 3 matches against Liverpool, against Brighton, and against Chelsea. So I think they're definitely live here to potentially score, but I think this could get way out of hand. So I like over 3.5 plus 112, which you can find at FanDuel. Okay, let's move on to Brentford and Newcastle. Brentford's plus 187, Newcastle plus 130, draw plus 275, totals at 3 minus 110 both ways. I love the Bees at the G-Tech. Fun stat: Brentford has scored the most and created the most expected goals at home of anybody in the Premier League this season. The reason for that is because their schedule has been pretty easy at home, and they've had to play all the hard teams away from home. But they are, as Brentford typically does, they're getting a lot of high quality chances, and this season they're converting them. That really wasn't the case, in seasons past, and now it's happening. And so they're just like exploding. And, the main ways that Brentford actually creates the chances, I think, can really give Newcastle a lot of problems here. So off of set pieces, Brentford, even though they haven't scored a lot of them, they are 3rd in XG per set piece. They're very good at getting the ball into wide areas and putting in crosses. Newcastle conceded all 3 goals against Liverpool off of crosses on Wednesday. So Thomas Frank's going to love that. He's going to get the ball into wide areas, and Brentford, who is, I think, 2nd in aerial duel win rate, they're going to have a lot of big advantage. Plus the pace that they have with Mbeumo and Visa and Shade, getting in behind a very slow Newcastle center back pairing and Dan Burn and Fabian Schär is a really good spot for them. And Brentford, I know they've been trying to build out of the back a little bit more, and that's obviously a worry here if Newcastle decides to press them high. But they have the ability to play direct if they need to. And if they get 1v1s against Newcastle's center backs there, I like that matchup there. And I mean, listen, this really just comes down to home and away, right? Brentford has been playing amazingly at home. They've always been amazing at home ever since they got promoted. And Newcastle, if we just go look at the last trip they took away, was to Crystal Palace. They took 1 shot the entire match against a team that was that plays a pretty similar defensive structure to what they're going to see here against Brentford. Brentford this season plus 7.3 expected goal differential at the G-Tech. Since the start of last season, Newcastle minus 6.8 expected goal differential away from home. So I like Brentford, draw no bet, plus 116, which is available at FanDuel. All right, let's move on to Palace and City. City's back, right? They're back. Palace plus 450. City's minus 175. The draw is at plus 320. Total's at 3. The over is about plus 110 or so. I kind of like Palace. I was on Nottingham Forest against City. Chris Wood just puts away a breakaway chance. I think that match plays out pretty differently. It's just the swings that just kind of happen sometimes. It was honestly just kind of a couple defensive lapses from Nottingham Forest. De Bruyne being in there certainly helps City. There's no doubt about that. But their defending in transition is still like really, really bad. And that's a worry here against Crystal Palace, who, like I said, are fully healthy with Eze and Ismail Assar playing as dueling number 10s, along with Mateta, who is a great transition striker. I think Crystal Palace is definitely live to pull off an upset here. I'm trying to decide whether I want to bet them +1, which I don't really project much value on, or if I want to try and wait for a better price. I think what I'm going to try to do is wait for a better price. The thing is even if you looked at that match that City had, their midfield is still incredibly light. And Kovacic is not going to be back until December 21st. Stones is potentially going to be out for this match. Kanji might be out. Phil, I don't know what the status of Phil Foden is. Nathan Ake is out. So like the back line for City is oh boy. It's a bad situation, honestly. So I think continuing to bet on the downfall is the way to go. We'll see the status of some of these players, but yeah, Crystal, put me down for Crystal Palace +1. I thought they were great against Ipswich on Tuesday. Obviously, Ipswich compared to City is a much different matchup, but again, I think Glasner's really started to get the tactics right, and he's really started to get back to what they were last season when they had Olise and Eze playing as those dueling number 10s. And listen, they got a lot of their midfield. I know Adam Morton's not available, but they do have, Czech Decore has been back. They have Lerma. They have, Will Hughes in his black boots. So it's a pretty decent spot here for Crystal Palace. So, mark me down for Crystal Palace +1, which is available at Bet365. And that's about -112. So, yeah, put Crystal Palace +1 against Manchester City at -112. I was just wanting to look at something. So City did beat Palace, if you remember last year, towards the end of last season, 4-2. But what I want to say is, obviously that was a very different City team than the one that's going to be rolling up to Selhurst Park on Saturday. The expected goals are just 1.1 to 1.9. It wasn't a thrashing by City. So, and in fact, a lot of their best chances came, in the second half. So, yeah, I like Crystal Palace +1 at -112, given all those injuries for City. I mean, they're scraping together something across that back line. So, what is, maybe we can get, what is Mateta to score in this match? Even Crystal Palace over 1.5 at +240. I really don't hate that either. Mateta's 3-1 to score here. Yeah, mark me down for that too. But yeah, I honestly, I don't think City's back, Antoine. I don't think they're necessarily back. I think they got a good result with some defensive lapses from Nottingham Forest, but no, I don't think they're back at all. Yeah, we'll save it for the Bundesliga. Fade Bochum. I don't know if I want to fade them with the team they're playing this weekend, but in any case, let's move on to. Is that all? Yeah, that's only 3 10 a.m. Eastern time matches. We're getting. By the way, the fixtures are piling up, people. Okay, for people that have subscribed to Substack, first of all, again, thank you. I want to do a lot more in terms of like tactical breakdowns, simulations, like I said in my video. But we got fixtures piling up here, so we got to focus on where we make our bread and butter here, which is doing previews, picks, and all that stuff. So that's what's going to happen for these weeks. Yeah, you can find the Substack. The link is in my bio. I also have a video up that I pinned to the top of my Twitter page at BJ Cunningham 22. If anybody wants the information there, I'll talk about that more at the end, and I'll open it at the end. If you have any questions regarding it, please ask me. I want to be an open book. I want to be transparent, and I want to give you the information that you need, honestly. So, okay. So yeah, only 3 10 a.m. Eastern time matches. That's kind of sad. By the way, did anybody do the Peacock multi-view thing? I tried it out a little bit. It was pretty nice. I hope they continue to do that. What's annoying, I'm going to go off on a tangent here for a second. What's annoying about Peacock is that they only let you do 3 screens. So the multi-view helps. It was really clean. I liked it. I just like the fact that they give us 4 matches at once, right? Like if you're going to put everything, behind a subscription-based service, like just let me watch all the matches. Like, I mean, listen, I'll tweet it out sometime, but I got 5 TVs in my basement. Okay. Like I have the ability to watch them all. So can you please just give me that option? Okay. So United Forest. I like Forest quite a bit here. I'm not deterred by what happened at Manchester City on Wednesday. I think it's a completely different situation. Amorim's going to need some time with this United squad, and I think that's pretty clear. I honestly, I didn't think they were that bad against Arsenal. I really didn't. I thought that they were actually able to progress the ball at the left side of the pitch with pretty good regularity through Arsenal's high press. They didn't succumb. They didn't, turn the ball over high a bunch of times. Just the end product in the final third sucked. This is from the XG philosophy. We'll talk about set pieces here in a second. But if you took away the set pieces from the Arsenal United match, it would have ended 0-0. Arsenal would have had 0.48 expected goals, and United had 0.03. So in any case, United did nothing in the final third. And things are not going to get any easier here against Nottingham Forest, who is still an incredible defensive team. They did concede 2 big scoring chances against City, but now they've only conceded 3 on the year, right? So this is still the second best team in terms of final third to box entry conversion rate allowed. 4-2-4 from Nuno is still a very difficult thing to play through. And if United doesn't have that end product against a good defensive low block, I just don't see a scenario how there should be laying a full goal here. I mean, this is, again, I said it last time, but Forest has gone to Anfield and only given up 0.9 expected goals, and they've gone to the Emirates, only give up 1.2 expected goals. They do such a good job of cutting off space through the middle. So it's going to be up to United's wingers to beat them in 1v1s, and I don't think they're capable of doing that. But let's talk set pieces, because that was incredible what Arsenal did on Wednesday. It made me so happy. A little side note, my friend Anthony DeBundo hates set pieces. He just hates them. He's young. He wants to be hip, and he doesn't really care about, old school football. I loved what Arsenal did. And I think what Arsenal is doing is completely sustainable. If you watch, Arsenal does a couple different things. They'll put 6 guys on the back post. And, if Gabriel is available, which he wasn't on Wednesday, but if he's available, he'll be up top and he'll do like a 1v1 run. And then they get like a 7v5 or like a 7v6 on the back post. And Saka and Rice are just their money every single time at putting it right at the back post. So it's so funny to watch. And I love it so much. But the other thing that Arsenal does is when you have that 6-man back post overload, they'll make runs to the front post as well. So you watched, early on in the match, United was putting 4 guys kind of around the 6-yard box in the front post because they were worried about that run that was going, because Gabriel had scored a goal against Sporting off that, exact same, or not against Sporting, against I can't remember who he scored against. Maybe it was against Forest. I can't remember. But he did that exact same run where it's like you take those 6 guys and you just run across the box, and if they're going man to man, then they get lost in the shuffle. You can screen guys and put one in the back of the net. So the point I want to say is that United conceded over 2 expected goals off set pieces. That's nothing new for them. Behind Southampton, they're second to last in XG per set piece allowed. Nottingham Forest is a really good set piece team. They've created over 5 expected goals off of them, which is second most in the Premier League. And off those 5 expected goals, they have scored 5 goals. So Forest is going to have the advantage when we get set plays. I'm going to rise out of my seat. I'm going to get pumped up for every set piece situation that Forest has. But again, given the status of where United is, like, why are they laying a full goal against Forest here? It just doesn't make any sense to me. So I like Forest +1. I like them quite a bit here. If you want to play +0.5 at a decent plus number, you can do that as well. Last night, you can still get Forest, +1 at like -138-ish. I haven't checked what Bet Rivers has at. By the way, side note, for if you're in the United States, you want to bet Asian lines like these +1s, +2s. Basically only Bet365 or Bet Rivers is going to give you a decent price. So typically when I go through things, it's like, all right, let's see what Bet365 has, and then we'll double check Bet Rivers to see if they'll give a better price. But I'm going to look up the Bet Rivers price right now. Give me 1 second. It might actually be a better price. No, it's the same price. So yeah, Bet365, my Forest +1 -138 is what I like. So okay, that wraps up Saturday. Let's go to Sunday. By the way, coming up, we have an incredible Monday Night Football match. Incredible theater. We'll get to that though. Let's talk Arsenal. They're going to Fulham. Fulham's +400, Arsenal's -167. The draw is +333. Totals over 2.5 is -125. The under is at even money. I like Fulham. I like them +1. I don't like betting against Arsenal, but this is way too high of a price. Way, way too high. If I want to try to be unbiased, if I want to at least make an attempt to be unbiased, this is my attempt at it. So if you want to clip this, go ahead and do it. So what's been the weakness of Arsenal this season, right? It's been breaking down low blocks. They just can't do it. Like, they go through stretches where sometimes it's ball circulation, sometimes it's, just worrying about set pieces, which against most teams they can actually do it against. But I really am struggling to see how they're actually going to break down this Fulham low block. So what Arsenal likes to do, and I've been talking about this a while, but so they like to get wide overloads. Arsenal is not interested in playing through the middle of the pitch. A lot of teams will try to deny space through the middle, but Arsenal doesn't really care about that because where's their best player? He's at right wing. And that's where they want to get the ball. They want to get Saka the ball in 1v1 situations or overload situations as much as they possibly can. And again, even if they get 3v3 or 4v4 out wide, they will take those chances. They're not going to recirculate it. We'll try to play through it, and because there are very few people in the world that can actually shut down Saka. Because I said it on Twitter, as at this current juncture right now, I think he's the best player in the world. But Fulham's really good at defending in wide areas, and Anthony Robinson, our American brother, is a really, really good defender out there. I put it in the Substack, some of his stats over the last year. I mean, 95th percentile for interceptions, 86th percentile for tackles. He's very good at defending in 1v1s. So yeah, I think it's a troublesome spot here for Arsenal. And Fulham's also a very good set piece defense. They've only allowed a little over 2 expected goals from 40 corners this season, which is one of the lowest rates in the Premier League. So they're very physical. They're number 1 in final third to box entry conversion rate allowed. They beat Arsenal last season at Craven Cottage 2-1. So yeah, and we know with Fulham, they've always been good at home. I know they were lucky against Brighton. They were, fortunate to get a high turnover early, and hit a couple of shots from outside the box. But that happens sometimes. But yeah, them being at home and getting a full goal, I think is definitely worth it here against Arsenal. Fixtures have been piling up for Arsenal. They're relatively healthy. They do have some guys are questionable across Arsenal's back line. Let me pull that up right here. Let me just double check. I looked at it last night. Obviously Ben White is still out. We don't know the status of Gabriel right now, who missed out on Wednesday with a knock. Calafiori is also 50-50 for this match. and Tomiyasu's been out for a while. So yeah, I think this is a situation to bet on Fulham here. So I like them quite a bit at +1. Who's Fulham's best number 9? I don't know if I'm allowed to say Raul Jimenez after all the trash we have talked about him on Wonder Goal over the years, but it's probably Raul. Yeah, Munoz did fall off. Almost 5 expected goals from Raul this season. Yeah. But here's the thing, like he did this last year. Like he had this like burst where he like went off for like 2 or 3 matches and then he just kind of faded. So I don't know if that's going to be the case again this season, but hey, 0.53 XG per 90 scoring rate. If he keeps that up, that will be his best mark of his career. So yeah, that's Arsenal and Fulham. Okay, let's move on to Ipswich and Bournemouth. Ipswich is +250, draw +275. Bournemouth at even money. Totals over 2.5 at -138. I like Bournemouth quite a bit here. If Ipswich tries to build out of the back, they're going to get hammered. Boy, Bournemouth killed Tottenham. It's just Tottenham just kept trying to build out, and Bournemouth just hammered them over and over and over and over again. Bournemouth is so good. Their hybrid high press is so freaking good. They're so good at cornering teams to one side of the pitch and just suffocating them, or at least putting them in the long balls. The one thing that I will say about Bournemouth is this. If you're a team that presses high, and I think this is one of the reasons why Bournemouth is so good out of possession. If you are a team that presses high, like Bournemouth does, you're either going to try to force high turnovers or you're going to try to force teams basically having to play long balls. Bournemouth has the, I believe, the best or the second best. Let me look it up right here. But long ball completion percentage allowed. So when teams try to play direct against them, they're very good at defending those long balls and thwarting away any type of chance that teams have to play direct. And boy, Ipswich cannot play direct right now. They are bad. They're bad. Here's the thing. Kieran McKenna, I think, is going to end up being a great manager. I think that his tactics that he had in the championship were outstanding. Given the squad that he has, he cannot compete with the squad in the Premier League. And I said it from the get-go. You're not going to be able to control possession in this league. You're really not going to be able to press high in this league with the squad that you have. And sitting back and playing direct just isn't working for Ipswich. Again, they've been getting better, but what is actually better, right? Like they were bad against Palace. Palace just very slowly took them out. So I like Bournemouth here quite a bit. I have Bournemouth projected at, after that, 3.5 expected goal performance against Tottenham. I have them at -138. So I think this line's low. I like Bournemouth. Let me just make sure. I hadn't double-checked the price since last night to see what the actual best possible price is on that. But yeah, I think it's pretty easily Bournemouth here. Again, Ipswich, worst expected goal differential in the Premier League, not getting better anytime soon. If you want to build out of the back against Bournemouth, you're going to get hammered, and that's exactly what's going to happen probably here. Mallorca +0.5. Yeah. Kevin, I'm going to save that for the La Liga section. I'm going to get through the Premier League here, and then we'll talk about that match today. Because, yeah, I've been going back and forth on that quite a bit. Let me just get this Bournemouth price here. Bournemouth money line +107 is the best price. You can find that at Bet Rivers. So that'll be my bet. Bournemouth +107. Okay. Let's move on to Leicester and Brighton. Leicester, after that resounding win against West Ham, is +350. Brighton is at +138. The draw is at +280. Totals at 3, -10 both ways, which is what happens now in the Premier League. I don't have much for this match, I'll be honest. Ruud van Nistelrooy got his first win. Congrats to Ruud. I thought Leicester was good at hitting West Ham in transition opportunities. They took advantage of the opportunities that they had. But you also saw that they conceded 2.6 expected goals against West Ham, of all teams. That's a worry here. That is definitely a worry here. I was potentially maybe looking at an over, but I only project 3.1 goals for this match. Again, I'm just pretty much right in line with the market, basically everywhere. I said this when we were talking about the West Ham and Leicester match, is that both teams coming into that match just like were horrible from positive game states. Well, I said Leicester was allowing over 2.5 expected goals per 90 from positive game states. Well, that average has maintained because Vardy scored in the second minute and then they proceeded to concede 2.6 expected goals. So that's a worry here. Leicester was pressing high a little bit more, which I think was interesting. Brighton's going to build out of the back, and as you see, Brighton had some troubles against Fulham on the road, conceded a goal off of it, off of a mistake. So I think Ruud will have his team coming out and pressing high in this one, especially being at home with the crowd behind them. I don't think you're going to see Leicester just completely sit back in this one. But again, I'm right in line with the market, so I really have nothing on this match. So I'm gonna move on to Tottenham and Chelsea. Tottenham's plus 240, Chelsea's even money, draws plus 290. I want to bet Tottenham, but I can't do it. They are so injured. They're so injured. I don't think it's even worth it to bet them with how injured they are. I don't even think Fraser Foster is that bad of a keeper. So, I don't think he's like this massive downgrade to Vicario. But if Tottenham's going to build out of the back, they're going to have the same fate that Aston Villa had against Chelsea. They're going to have the same fate that Southampton had against Chelsea. Chelsea's a really good pressing team. Chelsea might be very much for real. Archie Gray was playing center back at one point. Like, what is going on? Like, when I saw that, I was just like, what is going on? Like, can you really, like, and they continued to try to build out of the back. They wouldn't play. They refused to play direct. Van de Ven's still out. Romero, it looks like, is going to be back. So at least you have a Romero, Dragishin center back pairing. That's a good thing. Ben Davies is out. It looks like Solanke will be back. So you can make a case here for Tottenham. You definitely can make a case. And definitely, I do think that the line is starting to get inflated here. But here's what I will say is I would probably wait, because I think that this one is going only one way. It's just going towards Chelsea, and I think you can get a better price on Tottenham. So in terms of a buy low opportunity, I think that this is a chance to potentially buy low on Tottenham. Listen, when I looked at this last night, the injuries, I was just like, there's no way I'm doing this. But with Romero back, with Solanke back, that you can make a case here for Tottenham, definitely being at home. If you remember last year, everybody, this was a Monday Night Football match, and it was the match where Van de Ven went out with an injury, and then Romero got a red card like right after that. Excuse me. And Tottenham was playing with 9 men at one point and playing like just an insane high line, and Chelsea ended up scoring 4 goals. It was so funny. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. But yeah, I will probably be on Tottenham here. I projected Tottenham as a slight favorite here at home. Even with that complete and utter like disaster at Bournemouth on Thursday, Tottenham is a very undervalued team based on expected goals. They have a plus 5.4 expected goal differential right now. I know they have plus 13 actual goal differential, but so they shouldn't be sitting in 10th place. They should be closer up into the top 6. So I think you'll see some top positive regression coming here for Spurs. But again, the worry here is building out of the back against Chelsea's press that has hammered Villa and hammered Southampton in back-to-back matches. That's flat out the worry here. So, and Chelsea made a lot of changes as well against Southampton, so they'll be fresh and ready to go for this one. But yeah, the price is definitely getting crazy here on Chelsea. And, that's unfortunately, this is what we have. This is how you play this game, right? You try to find value. Well, the value's there on Tottenham. Gotten inflated, and now there's an opportunity. So I'll eventually be on Spurs, but I might do it today or I might wait. I might just take a look at a few things and double check on some stuff. But without a doubt, the value here is on Spurs. If you're doing an underdog parlay, I think Palace, Fulham, and Tottenham is the way to go. I don't know what that is, but if you want a Premier League underdog parlay, there you go. All right, now let's move on to the best match of the weekend of this slate. Monday Night Football. We have a legit El Sacico, like legit. Both managers are on their last legs. Loser. This is a phrase I just made up right now. Loser leaves town. Gary O'Neill versus Lopetegui. This is going to be a lot of fun. West Ham is sitting at -112. The draw is at +275. The draw is at +290, and Wolves is at +275. I really want to bet Wolves here, but I don't think I can do it. See, the thing is that Wolves is just conceding so many needless goals, so many needless, stupid goals, and that's what's eventually going to get Gary O'Neill sacked here. I think Gary O'Neill's a good manager. But I'm telling you right now, dude, you can't go through this run of – I know you've had a difficult schedule to begin the season, but you can't go through this run and just drop points against teams like Everton and Crystal Palace. Like, you got to take advantage of these things or else you're getting relegated. Like, at some point, the board has to make a decision and move on, right? So that's a troublesome spot here. The locker room in West Ham is not happy right now. So there's some – listen – I don't buy into, conspiracy theory when it comes to betting. But I will say is this. If the West Ham locker room is unhappy and they don't want Lopetegui to be there anymore, losing on Monday Night Football in front of a national audience would be the way to do it. So that's all I'll say. And listen, West Ham ain't getting relegated, and they're not going to get into a European spot. So we could have a full-on mutiny going on here. I don't know. But, in terms of actually breaking down this match, if Wolves sits in a low, compact defensive block, West Ham's not breaking them down. West Ham can't defend in transition. So if you wanted to bet anything in here, I think it's Wolves' money line. I think the Wolves team is still behind Gary O'Neill. I don't think they hate him as much as West Ham apparently hates Lopetegui right now. So, if I were to bet anything, go Wolves money line, go alts, go everything. If you believe in conspiracy theories, I won't be betting this match, but if you believe in the fact that West Ham dressing room is unhappy and they want Lopetegui gone, we've seen it before. So I'll just say that. All right, that does it for the Premier League. Any questions before I move on? Any thoughts? Anybody have anything before I move on to the rest of Europe? It's a fun slate, honestly. It's a really fun slate, and then we have the Champions League coming up. Oh yeah, by the way, Champions League live stream is going to be Monday morning, American time at 10 at the same time as this one. So 10 a.m. Eastern time, 9 a.m. Central, 3 p.m. British time. That's when it's going to be. I think doing it in the mornings works better here than doing it at nights. So that's what I'm going to do going forward. I've done both, and the views have just been better doing it at this time. So that's what I'm going to do going forward. So yeah, Monday, 9 a.m. Eastern time, or 10 a.m. Eastern time. We'll do a Champions League live stream, and we'll have some fun with that as well. All right, let's move on to the Bundesliga. I like Leipzig -1 at even money against Holstein Kiel. So I was doing a deep dive into Leipzig last night to figure out what's their issue, right? Like, what is the problem that the fact that they've lost 5 of 6 in both the Bundesliga and the Champions League? The problem is their buildup sucks and they keep turning the ball over an incredibly dangerous rate. They're turning the ball over at the highest rate of anybody in the Bundesliga in dangerous areas. So when they play good pressing teams and teams that can turn them over high, they run into problems. And it's really no surprise that they beat, knowing that, it's really no surprise that they beat Frankfurt in the DFB Pokal, because Frankfurt's like one of the worst pressing teams in the Bundesliga. So like they're dead last in passes per defensive action. So they're facing Holstein Kiel here, who is literally turning opponents over at the lowest rate. They're a horrible high pressing team. They are conceding 1.85 expected goals per 90 minutes. They are a horrible team. They're most likely getting relegated. And I think this is a great spot to buy low on Leipzig, who I had their spread projected at minus 1.37. I have them projected at minus 220 on the money line. So if you're doing a money line parlay of big favorites, or if you want to parlay them with a big favorite, I think that's the team to go to get to a decent price. But I like Leipzig minus 1 at even money, which is at Bet365. Hold on, I'm just trying to think. Yeah, the other one I like in Germany is Freiburg. Draw no bet, minus 115 against Hoffenheim. So Freiburg, again, now that I have the Substack, I took really deep dives into a lot of these teams that normally maybe I wouldn't take the deepest dive into, and Freiburg I think is really good once again. So they made it. Christian Streich may step down at the end of last year after spending 13 years, and he brought the club into places they never even dreamed they could go. But they made an internal hire. Julian Schuster came in, and he's basically keeping the same tactics that Freiburg had been doing before, but he's having them be a little bit more aggressive out of possession, which has really helped Freiburg. I mean, so far this season, they are turning opponents over in dangerous areas at the third highest rate in the Bundesliga, even though they're only 15th in passes per defensive action. So they're a little bit more of a high block type of team, but they're very effective at doing that. And in possession, what I really, really like about them is the variability they have in their tactics. So they'll typically try to build out in a back three, but really what they're looking to do is play a lot of direct balls up to their attackers. So it's typically around a 3-1-6 is what they like to play. Sometimes they'll have guys drop deep, but really what they're trying to do is overload the last line of defense and just get either in 1v1s or like 2v1s out wide and just play those direct balls in. And they're very effective at doing that. So for playing a Hoffenheim team that has been horrible defensively, a team that tries to press and can't really do it effectively, who is conceding 1.95 expected goals per 90 minutes, I think this is a great spot here to back Freiburg, even if they are on the road. I mean, Hoffenheim, their last 3 matches, they've gotten blanked. Excuse me, they've gotten blanked a combined 8-0, and they got beat down by Wolfsburg in the DFB Pokal on Wednesday. So I like Freiburg here. Draw no bet, minus 115. I like that quite a bit. Nothing for me in Serie A this weekend. I was looking at Roma Lecce over 2.5. I just need a couple more matches with Ranieri to see what he's going to do with this Roma side. I don't know if he's going to, play very passively and, 4-4-2. He's played a lot of different formations over his career, but typically, he is a 4-4-2 counterattacking style manager, which typically doesn't work when you're playing a lower end team. So that's just kind of the worry there. Bochum fade. I don't like Werder Bremen. Manny, I really don't like them. They're horrible. But man, Werder Bremen's like your typical average Bundesliga team. Was potentially looking at an over, but Bochum just can't create anything. I had both teams to score them against Augsburg. Augsburg got a penalty in the first half, and Bochum just proceeded to do nothing. Man, they're bad. No problem if you wanna fade Bochum here. They are bad, but I don't know if Werder Bremen's really the team to do it. I don't really want to take overs with Bochum anymore because they can't create anything. In 3 straight matches, they've created under 1 expected goal. So Werder Bremen's like right around an even expected goal differential, which is what they've been for the last few years. So, I'm passing. Dortmund game against Gladbach. If I would have bet anything, it would be over. I was looking at the over, but Dortmund has been a little bit more measured. They're starting to get things together under Nuri Sahin. And like if you look at all the underlying results, like there have been goals, but it's starting to trend more towards being a little bit lower scoring. So when that happens, sometimes my projections, taking a larger sample size will show me value on an over. There's not really much value on it for me against Gladbach. It's a game state dependent game, like most Dortmund matches are. If either team goes ahead, we'll probably get a lot of goals, but the longer it stays 0-0, the most likely it's that it's going to stay there. So passing on that. Okay. Yeah, nothing in Serie A for me. I was looking at that Roma Lecce over. Don't really like it that much. There really wasn't any other spots that I really liked. Atalanta's the correct price today against AC Milan. So I just really have no interest in that and betting that. So let's move on to La Liga. Dortmund. They're playing Dortmund on Wednesday. Barcelona against Real Betis. I like both teams to score an over 2.5 at -120. So here's the thing with Barcelona, man. I was on Mallorca on Tuesday, and they got hammered. Barcelona's central overload is so good. And when they get into a positive game state, they just rip you apart over and over and over again. But what is hilarious about Barcelona is their high line. I can't get over how ridiculous it is. Like, it's good. Like, it worked against Mallorca. Like, many times. There were so many times, like, Mallorca got in and got a huge chance, and it was like, oh, offsides. Like, it happened just over and over and over again. So, of course, it looks like, oh, well, Mallorca didn't really create anything. Like, yeah, they actually did. They were just, like, toenails offside, like, over and over and over again. So, that's the worry here against Real Betis. So, Barcelona this season is averaging 2.52 expected goals per 90 minutes. That's nuts. That's absolutely nuts. They're dominant offensively, and they should put the ball in the back of the net here. But when they press and they play the high line to try to condense the space and not allow teams to play, short passes through them, they leave themselves very vulnerable. They are dead last in final third to box entry conversion rate allowed by a mile in La Liga. And guess who's number one in that category offensively? Real Betis. Real Betis is top 5 in non-penalty expected goals. So I think this is just one of your typical Barcelona matches where they're probably going to win this one. They're at home, so they'll probably win it like 4-1. But I definitely think Real Betis gets on the board here. So over 2.5, and both teams to score is -120 at Bet365. Everywhere else it's like -145. So I would definitely venture more towards Bet365 if you're going to play that. We'll talk about Mallorca. Yeah, that was terrible on Tuesday. That was bad, man. Celta Vigo has been very, very good this season. And I think what my projections are taking into account is, we're about at the point of the season where it's about 50% prior year data, 50% this year data. Once we get to about 20 or so matches, the projections will mainly just be taking account what's happening this season. But, 13, 14 matches is still kind of a smaller sample size. So, 25. When we get to 25 matches, we'll do full on this season. But, Celta Vigo's underlying numbers are very, very good, and especially at home. And I think they're actually potentially a very, very good team. So I don't really I just don't want to do it with Mallorca away from home. Mallorca is always very good on the island outside of what you saw on Tuesday. Oh, outside the island, they aren't that good. Celta Vigo just smashed some lower level teams, 7-0, got a little confidence boost in the Copa del Rey. They did lose to Espanyol 3-1. They won the XG battle 1.6 to 0.9. They drew Barcelona 2-2, 1 XG 2.5 to 1.8. Even when they lost to Real Madrid 2-1, they won the expected goals battle against them. I think this is a pretty good, decent team. So I don't really like the spot for Mallorca today. If you want to play them, go ahead. I think that you can make a case there's a little bit of value on them, but especially with Mallorca having to play, well, I guess technically, Celta Vigo, they got to rotate a bunch of guys, against this lower level team when Mallorca had to play on Tuesday. So, way too much space behind for Mallorca. That's my take on the match today. I think that if you want to play something, I think Mallorca potentially has value, but I'm just going to pass on it. The other thing I liked in La Liga was Alaves plus a half and -123 against Osasuna. Both these teams, if you just went to the expected goals table, these two teams are right with each other. But Osasuna is in 7th place, and Alaves is in 16th, which is why we focus on underlying numbers versus table positions, right? And even when you dive deeper, Alaves has conceded 6 penalties this season, which is the most in La Liga. So if you take away all those penalties, well, they're only allowing 1.09 non-penalty expected goals per 90 minutes. So I think they're still a very good defensive team. Osasuna is a team that's just built on transitions and crosses, and Alaves is top 8 at defending both of those. So I think this price is way too high on Osasuna. I like Alaves plus a half. I had Osasuna projected at plus 156. So I like Alaves plus half a goal, -123. I definitely think they can get at least a draw here. When's this Villarreal run going to end? I don't know. I don't know. They have they have Bilbao this weekend and then Betis after that. I don't know when the next spot is going to be to fade them, but we'll figure out another spot to fade Villarreal. Okay, so that does it for Spain. Let's move on to Ligue 1. Kind of liked the Friday one today. I kind of liked Lille and Brest over 2.5. But when I dive deeper into it, Brest has had like 14 penalties in their matches. So typically when I have those type of situations, I don't know. Villarreal might be good. They might be. I don't think they're as good as the market is giving them credit for, Antoine. That's just my opinion on it. I don't think they're like a 4th best team, but they're definitely up there in the top 6 or 7 right now. I'm going to avoid the Lille and Brest match today. And, maybe who knows, maybe we'll get a bunch more penalties and over 2.5 will hit. But the one match that I really did like in Ligue 1 is Monaco-Toulouse over under 3 -134, which is at Bet Rivers. These are the 2 best defensive teams in Ligue 1 by expected goals. Toulouse has been an incredibly difficult team to break down. This season, they'll typically sit in a 5-3-2, and I included the pass map on my Substack in the Best Bets article that's up right now of what they did to PSG when they played them at PSG. Allowed no central progression at all. They just forced PSG to play the ball out wide, and PSG only ended up creating 1.3 expected goals in that match. So now they're going to face, a Monaco team that has been very good offensively this season, but breaking down good, solid defensive blocks has been, they haven't faced a lot of them, and we'll see if they can actually do it. Toulouse, normally a very passive team, 9th in pass per defensive action, but they are number 1 in final third to box entry conversion rate allowed. They're only allowing 1 non-penalty expected goal per 90 minutes. They're a very good defensive team. Monaco, they're on the rise under Adi Hütter. One of the reasons why they're on the rise is because of the way he sets his team up. He's a big believer in, I want to press high and press to force the ball out wide. I don't want teams playing through the middle, so let's just get the ball out. Let's just force them to play through wide channels. And against Toulouse here, that's what they're going to want to do as well. I think it's really going to work because once teams get the ball into wide areas, they're not able to do anything with it because Monaco is allowing the fewest crosses into their penalty area. So I think this match with the 2 best defensive teams in France, a total of 3, I think is really, really high. I have 2.36 goals projected for it. So under 3 at -134. If you want to play under 2.5 at a good plus number, you can do that as well. Lyon money line. Lyon is playing against Angers. I have it projected right around where the market is. Laying that big of a price on the road. Angers, hey, they got a win against Le Havre over the weekend, so congrats to them. Yeah, I mean, Angers is not very good here. You know what, Antoine? I'll pull up my statistical matrix here really quick, and we can just do that if FBref hasn't timed out on me, and it hasn't. That's good. Okay. Um, yeah, Angers is not good. Dead last in expected threat, second to last in box entries, 17th in final third entries. Defensively, they are a decent low block, third and final third to box entry conversion rate allowed. They're the best set piece defense in Ligue 1. So like there's a, there is a case to be made. Week of rest. But they do have Europa coming up as well. I don't know how I'm blanking on where they're at in the Europa League table. But in any case, Leon is a team that if they can play in transition, they can be really dangerous. They can't get in transition, then maybe we have some problems. So that's the worry here. If you're going to be laying that big of a number with Leon, again, I'm not going to do it. I have it right around where the market has it projected. So I am passing on that. Any more? Okay, so that wraps up. That's all the picks for this weekend. Does anybody have any questions about any matches or any questions about the Substack? I am here to answer them. So essentially what I have already done, just for those who maybe haven't subscribed and have no idea what's going on, essentially what I have done is all of the content that I would typically do at the Action Network, from like best bets articles and stuff like that, I'm just continuing to do, but it's going to be that kind of on steroids. So if you're somebody who likes my projections, again, I know I said it once, they would be free, but given my current situation, it's what I have to do. All the projections are behind the paywall. They're all on my Substack now. I've also included an article running simulations for the Premier League after match week 14. And I have a couple future bets in there. One, actually, I made one of the biggest future. I made an Ipswich relegation level size future bet last night. So if you want to subscribe to Substack, you can see that. I don't do NFL analysis, no. Eventually, my hope with the Substack is obviously going to start off doing soccer here. Going to try to get that content right because I think that's what people know me for. Eventually, would like to do some college football stuff, but that'll probably be next season. Honestly, I want to make sure I get the soccer stuff right first here before I decide to branch out. But yeah. So basically, what you can expect from it, like if you're somebody who's like, hey, I haven't subscribed, like how often are you going to post? I can't give you an exact number, but I can tell you that you're at least every week going to get like early bets piece, best bets from, like, for example, like next week, you'll get probably an early bets piece for some Premier League matches. You'll get a complete Champions League best bets article that's kind of similar to the one that I've already done for the weekend slate here. You're going to get obviously the projections all updated with my edge screen that I had, I showed to people. You're going to get Europa League best bets. Then you're going to get a weekend slate best bets. And then, and probably on Monday as well, I'll do a Champions League simulation. I still need to do work to get to the tournament format of it, but I can at least, I've already have the simulations done to finish, top of the league table, top 8, 9 through 24, bottom half. So I can at least put those out for you guys. So yeah. So that is it. If I'm going to give it a minute here, if anybody has any questions, yeah, just put them in the chat right now. Otherwise, I'm gonna end this. Ange fired before the Man U Cup match. I don't know about fired. I think that would be a rash decision from Tottenham, if I'm being totally honest. I think he went through a period of some injuries. But I mean, here's the thing, man. Ange is not adaptable. What I mean by that is he plays his way and he's not changing. And that's commendable. And that's great. And it's great to have an identity. But you saw yesterday, low block counterattacking football, man, you're getting hammered. You got to set up in the 3-5-2. You got to get the ball out wide, and you got to just try to hit them in transition. Hire a set piece coach, Ange. Like this stuff isn't that complicated. Like you can be a rash, bombastic, alpha male and say, no, I'm right. But if you continue to crater, man, you got to be like, if you look at Arteta, yeah, he's a cocky prick, but he also wants Arsenal to be good at every single aspect of football. Like, Ange just wants his team to be a good high pressing team and a good build up team. He doesn't care about set pieces. He doesn't care about direct counterattacking football. So, low odd parlays, for instance, Forest +2 and Fulham +2 to get +1.5. I mean, I don't hate that. I mean, I like both of those. So if that's something you want to do, go ahead and do it. I would just kind of rather bet at both of them individually. So it's up to your preference, Nolan. But yeah, I definitely don't hate either of those. I would be, let's put it this way. I'll be shocked if either of those, if Fulham or Forest lose by 3 goals. So if you want to reduce the risk, go ahead and do that. But yeah, as far as Ange is concerned, I think it would be a rash decision to fire him. Given these injuries and everything. But yeah, it's like, dude, you have to be adaptable. You have to be able to change it at least some point, right? And that's just like the annoying part, right? It's just like, like, oh, we're just going to keep and everybody loves him for it, but it's going to get him sacked if he doesn't change. So, yeah, I mean, we might see Ange go, but who knows? Who knows, man? But again, I think it would be a rash decision. I mean, who's out there right now, other than my guy Graham Potter? I mean, who is out there that's available that they could get that would be better? I mean, it's heading towards an inevitable firing, but how many coaches out there are going to play be able to play the somewhat of a similar style with Tottenham and be more successful doing it? Yes, Luke, I did. So if you're late, Luke, all the projections are now on my Substack, which I have the link is in the description. To Thomas Frank to Spurs, that would be a great hire for them. Yeah, so Luke, all of the projections right now are on my Substack, which is behind a paywall. It's $5 a month or $50 for the year. It's just what I have to do right now. But again, they're all there. I'll continue to update them. Edge screen, everything that you could ever want is on there. But yeah, as far as the picks, everybody, if you're obviously I've given them out right here. I will post them on Twitter again at noonish Central Time today. So the picks will remain free. You can always watch the YouTube, and you can just if you want to just follow me on Twitter and just take the picks there, no problem. I'm not a big I'm not. What I wanted the Substack to be is more information based rather than just me selling you picks, because I just don't really believe in that. And that's why I do these YouTube live streams. That's why I continue to give them out free, just because I don't really want to make a living taking your money for picks. I'd rather give you information so that you can make informed decisions yourself, and hopefully you never need me again. But in any case, that's the whole goal of the Substack. So. Nolan, I would like to, but I would also like to keep that for the Substack subscribers. So I'll maybe talk about it next week. But listen, I did a 4.4 unit play on a future on my Substack right now. So if you want to go see it, you can go see it. It was a nuke. I was looking last night and I was just like, this is ridiculous. This team should never be anywhere even near this price. And I ran my simulations and I had over a 20% edge on it. So I said, well, then I have to do this now. So go read that. And I did a little write-up of a reasoning why. But yeah, you can go see that. All right. If that is it. So yeah, all the projections are now in the Substack. They are in a Google Doc on the Substack. I'm going to change the address of that Google Doc every month. So I'm not trying to be mean, but I could see a scenario where some people are like, hey, I just want the projections. Oh, I'll pay the $5 for the first month, and then I don't need to pay anymore. I'm going to change that. So not trying to be mean, but also I just, I just need to make sure that, this whole thing potentially maybe works out and that I can continue doing these YouTube live streams and hopefully keep delivering you guys the best possible content. So yeah, Middlesbrough, I'll do now that I have my own Substack, maybe I'll do a tactical breakdown of Middlesbrough because they're really good. But yeah, so thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm going to end this right now. Thank you to everybody who has already subscribed to the Substack. Again, the link is in my Twitter bio, or if you just go to my Twitter page at BJ Cunningham 22, it's all over there as well. Or if you're not on Twitter, it's in the description of this YouTube live stream. So yeah, thank you to everybody who's already supported me. Hopefully we can continue to build this thing up into something big, and I can do more and more content that I hope you want. So thank you for tuning in. I'll see you guys Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern time for a Champions League live stream. Have a great Friday, everybody.